Is it bad for your upper back to round when you deadlift? Not necessarily. Watch this.
Our next caller is Donald from Idaho.
Donald, what's happening?
Nothing much, guys. Nothing much.
What part of Idaho? What part of Idaho are you at?
Right now I'm in Caldwell. It's like 30 minutes away from Boise.
Thank you.
Potatoes.
That helps.
Potatoes.
Yeah, lots of potatoes.
All right, go ahead and ask your question, my friend.
Okay, so I'm going to give a little background. I'm going to just kind of read my email. So, so to start it off, I'm a new trainer. I've been training for almost 2 years at this point. And one of the most common things that I see is the upper back rounding when doing hip hinge motions. And so I do a lot of powerlifting, and so I find that's pretty prevalent. However, as I do this for myself, I know how to take care of it. But when I have a client who I guess is new and doesn't really know their own body all that well, I find it hard to help them connect. And so I guess in essence, the question stems from, I was having a client do a light kettlebell RDL, and then as they were performing it, their upper back was rounding like excessively. And so I took the weight away. We tried a couple of different options. I tried to do the PVC pipe 3-point connections, no success, and ended up taking an entire session trying to focus solely on just the upper back rounding. And so my main question here is, I felt like I did a disservice taking so much time spending on one thing. And I was wondering if there was a more efficient way to do that.
Okay, so you didn't do a disservice.
Yeah. Good question, though.
That's a very important part of being able to do certain important exercises correctly. And with new client, this was one of the biggest differences between me when I was a shitty trainer and me when I was a good trainer. Shitty trainer Sal, move to the next exercise, do something else, keep them moving. Good trainer me noticed something like that, and I would spend the whole session working on that particular issue and eventually getting them to be able to do some of these very effective movements.
You paint a completely new vision for what they need and what that protocol is going to look like, and you're going to build them up and get their body and their posture in a position where now we can load, and it's going to look so much better in the future if we go in this direction.
How you communicate this, though, is the part that Sal is leaving out that made him his ability to sell the importance of that is as important as your knowledge on what to do.
Yeah, because otherwise they're like, what are we doing this whole time?
So I actually just had this conversation. It was more around, which is the same thing, corrective exercises that their client needed to do. And this trainer came to me and she's just like, I feel bad. They're paying me $150 an hour and I'm doing all these tedious on the floor corrective exercise stuff, right? I said, so the way I communicate later on like this to a client is I would take them through, I would explain the importance of us doing this and saying, listen, I don't want you to waste $150 an hour on me holding your hand through this process every single workout, but I can't stress to you enough how important it is you do this every day. If I know you want to lose X amount or you want to look a certain way, and we're going to do that together, but I can't stress to you how important it is that you do this. Now, my goal for you is for me to teach it to you, and you do it 2-3 times a day, practicing it, trying to work on these corrective movements to get us in better posture, better alignment. But if you don't, it's so important to me that I will do it with you. And so my goal is for you to do it on your own, but I know that some clients, and when you present it that way, you'll get one of two things normally. They'll be like, okay, I get it. Like I need to do this on my own. Or I've had this too, which is okay. Clients go, Adam, if you don't take me through it, I won't do it. So if you say it's that important, but you got to sell how important it is first, so you don't feel like I'm giving them a disservice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a myth around exercise whereas people believe that if they're not sweating and burning and muscles aren't hurting, that they're wasting the workout. So I'm going to use an analogy right now that I think paints this pretty well. So you have cardio boxing classes, and then you have actual boxing classes. One of them, you learn how to box. The other one, you're just moving through the air and you're simulating boxing to try to get a workout. Okay. When you go learn how to box, a good boxing coach is going to have you practice the jab, the straight, across, like 1,000,001 times before you go and actually work out, before you go and you actually spar. Who's more fit, a boxer or a cardio boxer? Who's more fit? The boxer is. Why? They got the skill and they're doing it properly. Now, in the beginning, they had to learn the skill. Exercise is a skill. All these exercises you teach your client are all skills. They're not just moving. If it wasn't a skill, they wouldn't need you, Donald. They could go in, and this is what I would tell my clients. Look, these are skills. I'm going to teach you how to master these skills because then we can reap the benefits of them. Otherwise, you're just moving, in which case you don't need me. You could just come in here and pick 10 different random movements. You could wave your arms in the air and sweat, and that'll be your workout. And this is why that's not effective. And here's why mastering these skills is so effective. So the beginning of our training together, a lot of it is going to be teaching you how to utilize these skills, how to master these skills, so that then we can reap the maximum benefits of them. So now, along those lines, there's two things I like to do to help teach someone to keep their upper back from rounding when doing a hip hinging movement. One of them is a waiter's bow with the hands behind the head. So hands behind the head, shoulders squeezed back. It's almost like a good morning, except there's no weight. And the entire time they're going forward, they have to keep their shoulders back and their hands behind their head, and they can't let their elbows come forward. So that's an easy cue. The second thing would be an actual PVC pipe behind the back, like a good morning, still maintaining the same position. But the waiter's bow is superior, in my opinion, at teaching proper positioning when you do a hip hinge in terms for the upper back. So that's what I would do with someone, because then they could feel it as they bend over. They could feel their elbows coming forward. They could feel their head going down. So they have to keep this up while they bend over, and it gives them that feedback that they typically need.
So you can work on that. You can work on the mobility and the priming and spend some good time with that, and then reinforce that with the strength training, right? So take your time by doing seated rows with really good posture, making sure that they're bracing and they're keeping their shoulders back and down and locked in good position. And so like you can still do the weight training side of it. You're just really reinforcing their posture and their core control and ability to maintain that position.
Now, not to overcomplicate this tip, but there is a bit of a nuance here in upper rounding of the back, right? So I think Steffi Cohen actually just did a post a couple of days ago, and I got tagged. A bunch of people tagged me because they wanted me to debunk what she said. Obviously, I didn't respond because there was nothing to debunk. She was correct. And that's because there is nuance around this. If you look at the way I deadlift versus Sal, it looks very different. In fact, Sal has a bit of a rounding of his upper back. But he still has very stable control of his upper back, and it's supported. So there is this bit of a misunderstanding around proper deadlifting form, that you have to have this, rigid kind of like neutral spine where your shoulder blades are
it's really
peeled
just
back.
when it's excessive. That's
right. Or there's movement in it, right? So if I saw a client moving the upper back while we're deadlifting, but some people are in kind of a rounded, Jordan Shallow deadlifts like this too. You see him actually intentionally round his scapula right before he goes into it, and he kind of stands in this rounded position as he comes up. And again, Sal deadlifts this way too, and it's not because he has bad form; he's got incredible form. But it's some people have that posture when they actually deadlift, and it is safe and okay. So learning to be able to decipher with this is a person who has no control of their upper back. I see movement in it. It can be dangerous versus their posture is a little bit rounded like this, and that's very natural and normal for them.
So here's what I would do in a session like this. So let's say I was training a client and this was an issue. I would spend 20 to 30 minutes focusing on maintaining upper back stability while hip hinging. And then I would go and do single leg toe touches. That's our hip hinging exercise because it doesn't require that rigidity in the upper back or the control. So that now we're doing the hip hinging exercise, but this is after we worked on the upper back. So, and I would focus on single leg toe touch type exercises until I felt like I had that upper back issue under control.
Okay. That's quite the game plan. So thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it, man. Now you're a trainer, so I'm assuming you have MAPS Prime and Prime Pro?
I do actually. I got it before Adam started bullying everybody.
Okay, good.
Such a bully.
Yeah, I would give it to you if you didn't have it.
I just want to point out sales are up by 3% since I started bullying.
We want to get them up to 10.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, thanks for calling in.
Okay, thank you. I also just got to say, thank you for like what you guys are doing. Seriously, you guys have helped cultivate me into being a better trainer. You guys actually helped me pursue my passion of being a trainer. So if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing. and then just helping cultivate me to be like just a better man. So thank you.
Wow.
Are you in the Donald? Are you in the forum
Awesome,
yet?
dude.
are you in the forum?
I'm not.
All right, I'm gonna have Doug give you access to the forum so you can say what's up to us, especially since you're a trainer. There's a lot of trainers in that forum, so you guys can a lot of them network together and help each other. So it's a good place to be.
Oh yeah, badass. Thank you guys.
All right, Donald.
All right, take it easy.
You know what's funny about that is that we almost never glorify being a trainer. We talk about how hard it is, it's hard to make money.
Yeah.
Really, it's got to have a lot of passion, otherwise it sucks. And yet, so many people become trainers when they hear us talking about it. So
There's passionate people out there.
that's
though,
what it is.
You know,
It's I think it resonates with people who have a passion for it.
I love
So
it.
like, you know what? I want to do that.
Did you guys see the post that Steffi Cohen that I was referring to?
No, but I've heard that before.
But yeah.
So I got tagged on it. I should have brought it up on the show the other day when it happened because so many people tagged me and wanted me to like shit on the post, and I'm like, you guys have to listen to what she's talking about. Like, there is. I mean, you have a rounded back.
I know
your upper back is definitely rounded. When
some of the best deadlifters in the world will tend to pull that way, and I think it's a leverage thing.
Yeah,
but there's a difference between form that you're aiming for with a client. And then form that top level competitors and athletes tend to use.
For sure.
High performance.
Yes.
Right. I think the main thing, if you're a coach and you're trying to distinguish the difference of the two, it's the control. Like you have absolute control of that upper back completely, and there's no waver or movement throughout the movement, right? So as you deadlift, you stay in that very fixed position all the way up. So the thing that I would be coaching to is like, be aware of they could have good connection and have good stability in that place. That's their kind of their posture, right?
Yeah. Well, I would say too, is it creating dysfunction in other movements? Is it a pain? Is it problematic in that sense? So that's what I would assess.
Totally.